How could you let her take Max's gift? I shouted, my hands shaking as I gripped the empty box that just this morning held my son's prized remote control car. That was for his birthday next week. He's been begging for that car for months. Theo scrubbed a hand over his face, not meeting my eyes. Calm down, Alara. It's just a toy. I'll buy him another one. That's not the point. My voice echoed through our pristine modern kitchen. You told Callie she could sell his gift for spending money. His 5th birthday gift. As if on cue, Theo's sister stumbled into the room, designer sunglasses perched on her head even though it was nearly midnight. What's with all the yelling? Callie asked, popping her gum. I'm trying to watch TV. I whipped around to face her. You sold my son's birthday present so you could go shopping. How could you be so selfish and entitled? She shrugged, inspecting her manicure. He's a kid. He doesn't care. Besides, Theo said I could sell it. My hands curled into fists. I'd had enough of her freeloading off our backs, showing up whenever she pleased and helping herself to whatever she wanted, with Theo defending her every time. I turned on my husband. Do you even care that she took the one thing Max was excited for? Theo crossed his arms. Don't be so dramatic. We can get him another car. That car is sold out everywhere? I had to search for months to hunt it down in Max's favorite blue color. But I guess your sister wanting new clothes for her girl's weekend is more important than your own son's birthday. Callie smirked while Theo stared at me stone-faced. They were unbelievable. Rage simmered in my blood. I grabbed my purse and keys. I'm staying at my sister's tonight, and Callie better be gone by the time I'm back, or I swear. Theo grabbed my arm. Don't threaten me. This is my house, too. I wrenched out of his grasp. 3 years ago, when we bought this house, I contributed 40% from my online graphic design earnings. But just like everything else, Theo liked to claim it was all his. That car meant everything to Max. If you can't see that... My voice broke as I turned away, tears stinging my eyes. As I walked to Max's room, Callie called after me. God, why are you so uptight? I paused in the doorway, taking in my son's sleeping form. His arm wrapped around his stuffed dinosaur. My heart squeezed. I would not let Theo and Callie ruin his childhood, too. In the car, I broke down crying, fear and anger swirling inside me. When had my marriage become this toxic battlefield? Ever since Callie inserted herself into our lives last year, criticizing my cooking, helping herself to my clothes, acting like she owned the place. And Theo allowed it, no matter how it affected Max and me. I couldn't keep living like this. As I pulled away toward my sister's house, an icy resolve settled over me. If Theo refused to put me and Max first, then I would. One way or another, I was getting my son away from these toxic people. No more feeling powerless in my own home. I dashed away my tears, gripping the steering wheel tight. Theo would regret choosing Callie over his own family. I would make damn sure of it. I awoke with puffy eyes, yesterday's confrontation replaying in my mind. My sister Claire's concerned face peered down at me. What happened? She asked, sitting at the edge of the guest bed. I sighed, pushing myself upright. Callie took Max's birthday gift to sell it. Theo didn't even care. Claire shook her head. That girl has some nerve. Want me to knock some sense into Theo? Despite everything, I smiled. Thanks, but this is between us. I checked my phone, steeling myself for Theo's barrage. Surprisingly, there was only one message. I'm sorry. Come home so we can talk. I scowled. A 6-word text was his idea of an apology? Still, for Max's sake, I texted back. I'll be home this afternoon. Callie better be gone. A few hours later, I let myself inside, braced for another argument. Instead, the house was silent. Good. Callie finally left. Theo? I called out. Max? In here. Theo's voice rang from the living room. I followed it, anger rising as Callie's grating laugh echoed down the hall. She was still here? I stopped short in the doorway. Callie lounged on the new velvet couch I'd spent months saving up for, shoes propped up on the mahogany coffee table. Priceless vases and antiques passed down from my grandmother surrounded her, the artifacts I'd forbidden her to touch. Max sat on the floor, shoulders hunched over a coloring book. Where was the mural I'd painted for him, full of his favorite dinosaurs? The wall now held an abstract neon painting, obviously Callie's tasteless choice. Theo leapt up with a smile. Alara, sweetheart, I ordered us takeout from our favorite Italian place. I gaped at him. What is she still doing here? And what happened to Max's mural? Theo's smile faded. Callie's apartment is getting fumigated. I said she could stay a few weeks. As for the mural, we decided the living room needed a more mature look. I clenched my fists, glaring at Callie's indifferent pose. More mature? This is a child's home. Callie examined her manicure. Well, Theo has awful taste in art. That dinosaur painting was lame. It wasn't a painting. It was a mural I spent months crafting for Max. Theo stepped forward, palms upturned. Hey, let's not fight. Max, come see what Aunt Callie brought you. Max didn't look up from his book. Theo gestured to a gaming console on the floor. It's the new Supersonic X3000 you wanted. I froze. That must have cost Callie a small fortune from selling Max's car. I crossed my arms. Max, do you have something to say to Aunt Callie? He was silent. Theo elbowed him. Come on, buddy. Aunt Callie got you an awesome new toy. Max shoved his book away. I don't want it. I want the race car you promised. His lower lip quivered. You said I'd get it for my birthday. Oh yeah, the toy car, Theo said. Sorry, buddy. Aunt Callie needed the money more than you. But now you have this cool new gaming thing. My blood boiled. I spun to face Callie. You sold my son's beloved gift for your own selfish wants. And now you ruin our home with your ghastly decor, never once considering Max's feelings. I want you out. Callie met my glare with an icy smile. Big words from someone too talentless to provide for her family. Theo grabbed my shoulder, voice hard. I told you not to threaten my sister. She stays as long as she needs. As he led Callie to the kitchen, joking about my inferior taste, fury roared through me. No more tiptoeing around for fear of Theo's temper. Callie had destroyed this family for long enough. If Theo refused to protect Max from her toxicity, then it was up to me. I pulled my son into my arms, shielding his head from Callie's raucous laughter. Enough. Over the next few days, I retreated into myself, watching helplessly as Callie took over our lives. She threw out my carefully crafted meals in favor of takeout, bleached my son's hair platinum blonde as a surprise, and replaced our family portraits with blown-up posters of herself. Theo didn't bat an eye. She's just trying to help, he said. Yet her smirk behind his back told a different story. This was a game to her, systematically removing me from my own home. I found solace in my freelance graphic design projects, pouring my frustration into my art. If I could save up enough, I could take Max far away. One morning, Max burst into my home office, tears streaming down his face. Alarm shot through me. What happened, baby? Daddy and Aunt Callie took my bike away, he wailed. The custom turquoise bike we'd spent months building together, now too small for Max's growing limbs. He refused to let it go. My pulse pounded as I raced to the garage. Theo and Callie stood grinning over the shiny two-seater convertible parked where Max's bike belonged. He'd loved that bike, refusing every time I offered to sell it. Now Callie lounged in the driver's seat, revving the engine. Theo waved. Sweet ride, huh? Got it for a steal off Craigslist. Cold dread washed over me. Please tell me you didn't. Oh, Max won't need that stupid bike anymore. Callie checked her reflection in the side mirror. I told Theo we should sell it. It was just taking up space for my new baby. Theo wrapped an affectionate arm around her shoulders. Only the best for you, sis. An icy calm settled over me. Let me get this straight. You sold my son's beloved bike without asking to buy Callie a car? Theo shrugged. She needed her own wheels. You really should be thanking us. The money we got will pay for our cruise to Hawaii next month. The trip I'd been begging him to take for years, just the three of us. Now Callie would sink her claws into that dream too. He's better off without that bike. Callie turned the radio up, the pounding bass swallowing my protests. He can't stay a child forever, as much as you baby him. Red crept into the edges of my vision. Before I knew it, I grabbed Callie's designer blouse and yanked her from her seat. That bike was Max's prized possession. I shouted as she stared at me, dumbfounded. He loved it, and you took it from him without a thought. And you. I jabbed my finger at Theo's chest, spinless, letting your sister walk all over this family. Theo's face mottled red with rage. Don't take that tone with me. I told you Callie stays as long as she needs. I stepped inches from his face. Not if your own wife has anything to say about it. His eyes widened in shock. Behind me, Callie scoffed. She's bluffing. Little Mouse doesn't have the guts. My hands clenched into fists. For so long, I'd held my tongue in a failed attempt at peace, but they'd finally pushed me past the point of return. This was an attack on my son, and I would rain fire on anyone who dared hurt him. I spun on my heel, storming into the house. With Max sobbed on the staircase. At his crestfallen face, something hardened inside me. No more treading softly or relying on Theo's empty promises. If I stayed silent now, they would only hurt Max worse in the future. As I folded Max into my arms, tears slipping down his cheeks onto my shirt, iron resolve settled in my bones. Theo could insult me all he wanted, but Max depended on me. Our luggage still sat by the garage door from last month's camping trip. I glanced at the dented bike helmet lying abandoned on the floor. Max's tearful eyes reflected in the visor. Enough was enough. I couldn't stay silent for Theo's sake. Not when my son needed me more. I tossed clothing, toys, and essential documents into suitcases, my hands shaking. In the backyard, Max cried while Callie revved the engine of her shiny convertible, oblivious to his anguish. My phone buzzed with another message from Theo. "Where are you going?" "Come back so we can talk." I silenced the phone, shoving it in my purse alongside Max's birth certificate and passport. No more chances for Theo to manipulate me into staying. I texted my sister, "Need a place to stay tonight. Please don't tell Theo." Claire responded immediately. "Of course, Han. Bring Max to my house ASAP." I scanned the bedroom one last time before rushing to the backyard. "Max, baby, go wait in the car for Mommy," he sniffed, wiping his runny nose on his shirt. "Why do we have to leave? This is our house." My throat tightened. "I know, sweetie, but right now we need to stay somewhere else for a little bit, okay?" I ushered him toward the front door. "Go strap yourself into your seat. I'll be right there." As he walked away, shoulders slumped, Callie leaned out the car window. "Where do you think you're going with my nephew?" I whirled around. "Your nephew? You lost the privilege of claiming him as family when you threw his belongings in the trash." She examined her nails. "Look, Theo's obviously not man enough to knock some obedience into you, so let me tell you how this goes. I'm here now, so you'll do as I say, got it?" Years' worth of rage and humiliation bubbled over. I stomped up to the convertible and wrenched Callie's designer sunglasses off her smug face. "Listen closely. You don't control me or my son. We are leaving, and we are never coming back." I slammed the glasses on the pavement and ground them under my shoe. Shock widened Callie's eyes. Behind me, the front door banged open. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Theo bellowed. I whirled to face him. "I'm taking my son somewhere he'll be appreciated and not treated as a nuisance, unless you straighten out your viper of a sister." Theo's face mottled red. Callie leapt from the convertible with a dramatic sob. "She's insane. Attacked me for no reason." Theo advanced until we were nose to nose. His musky cologne overwhelmed me. "I told you never to threaten my family." I met his glare. "I'm your family, though obviously Callie means more to you." I turned away before he could see my tears. "Let me know when you pull your head out of your ass long enough to start acting like a real husband and father." I jumped as Theo slammed his fist into the side of the house, denting the pristine exterior. "Get the hell out of my sight, Alara! But this isn't over, you hear me?" I hurried to the front seat, securing a whimpering Max into his booster. As I peeled out of the driveway, I caught sight of Callie waving slyly from the porch steps. Theo's arm wrapped around her shoulders. "You haven't seen anything yet," I thought. Theo would regret turning his back on his own wife and son. I'd make damn sure of it. At Claire's house, after tucking a sniffling Max into the guest bed, I powered on my laptop with trembling fingers. I still had remote access to Theo's messages from when he asked me to fix a syncing issue last month. As I scrolled through, one text thread between Callie and an unknown number made my blood run cold. "Callie, Alara's got dollars in secret account. We access it, her business goes bust, I get payback. Everyone wins. Unknown. And Theo's on board? He knows his place. I tell him to jump, he asks how high. Theo would destroy our livelihood and my business at Callie's bidding. Over my dead body." I shut the laptop, rage and purpose stealing my spine. Game on. Over the next few days, I slowly transformed from helpless victim to warrior ready for battle. With Claire's help, I hired a ruthless lawyer named Marjorie who swore Callie and Theo would pay. "With the evidence you've shown me, we can nail them on extortion and attempted fraud," she said, snapping her briefcase shut. "But we need more." So I set up hidden cameras throughout my sister's house, on her advice. If Theo and Callie tried anything shady, I'd catch them red-handed. Part of me hated resorting to such extremes, but they'd forced my hand. I had to protect myself and Max. My phone buzzed nonstop with calls and texts from Theo, growing more desperate each day I didn't respond. The final voicemail made me grin. "Alara, please come home. I'm sorry about how I acted. Callie's moving out next week. I told her she had to. Just please come back so we can be a family again." In the background, Callie shrieked unintelligibly. Too little, too late. In trying to put Callie first, he'd already lost us. With the cameras in place, I asked Claire to take Max to the zoo so I could focus. Time to set my plan in motion. Theo's laptop password hadn't changed. As I scrolled through his messages, bile rose in my throat. He and Callie traded details about my private savings account, which held over $300,000 from my freelance design business. They planned to siphon money slowly so I wouldn't notice. Once my account ran dry, she assumed my business would tank. "She'll come crawling back once she's broke, and we have all her money," Callie gloated. "You'll see I'm the best thing that ever happened to you." Red spots swam across my vision. Not only were they scheming to steal my hard-earned money, but Theo had agreed, despite begging for my forgiveness days earlier. He didn't care about me or Max at all. Well, if it was proof Marjorie wanted, I had it in spades now. My hands trembled as I photographed the messages. After I destroyed their lives in court, Callie wouldn't have a cent left to her tacky name. As I dug deeper, uncovering more deception, fury surged through me. When I first met Theo, I'd been drawn to his strength and protectiveness. Now his true cowardly colors shone. I'd wasted years pleading with him to stand up to Callie. No more. With Marjorie's help, I would crush them under the heels of my stilettos until they regretted ever crossing me. This betrayal would cost them everything. A knock at the door made me jump. Heart pounding, I crept to the window. Theo stood on Claire's porch, clutching wilted flowers. Before I could react, he pulled out his key ring and unlocked the front door. Of course, he had Claire's spare key. I panicked, shoving the laptop under a couch cushion and grabbing a magazine. "Alara?" Theo's hopeful voice echoed down the hall. I arranged my face into a mask of indifference as his footsteps approached. Showtime. He halted in the living room entryway, taking in my curled-up figure on the couch as I pretended to read. "Hey, can we talk?" I turned a page slowly. "About?" "I'm sorry for how I acted. Please just come home." He set the sad bouquet on the coffee table. "I told Callie she has to move out. It will be just the three of us again. I promise." I set down the magazine. "Words are cheap, Theo. You always take her side. What's different now?" He knelt before me with pleading eyes. "You and Max are my real family. I see that now. Please, give me another chance." I hid a satisfied smile. The cameras were capturing his Oscar-worthy performance. Too bad I already knew the script. I patted his hand like a child. "You need to give me time to process everything. Let's reevaluate in a few weeks." He opened his mouth to argue, but I held up a hand. "Please, I deserve the space," he sighed. "Okay, I understand." He touched my cheek. "I love you, Alara. I'm going to fix this, I swear." I offered him a small smile. "I know you will," and I looked forward to watching it all crash and burn. Over the next 2 weeks, I gathered ammunition we would need to obliterate Theo and Callie in court. My lawyer, Marjorie, ensured I had an ironclad case. "With this evidence, you'll easily win full custody of Max and get a maximum settlement," she assured me. Her sharky grin reminded me of Callie. The similarity brought me dark satisfaction. She would sink her teeth into them in court. My phone rang yet again with another call from Theo. He alternated between desperately pleading and demanding I come back immediately. I declined every one. Claire watched nervously as I took notes for Marjorie. "Are you sure about this scorched earth approach, Alara? Maybe you guys could work it out." I slammed my notebook shut. Theo made his choice when he picked Callie's side over Max's, over mine. Now they'll pay the price. Soon after, Marjorie confirmed we had a slam-dunk case. It was time. While Claire took Max to the park, I asked Theo to meet me at a coffee shop, ensuring I arrived first. I slid into the corner booth, palm slick. Right on time, Theo rushed in, face sagging with relief when he spotted me. I waved him over, pulse racing. He grasped my hands the moment he sat. "Alara, thank you for meeting me. It kills me being apart." I gently extracted my hands. "I asked you here because my lawyer and I have made a decision about the divorce." Theo reeled back. Divorce? What are you talking about? I slid the manila envelope across the table. Here is my settlement offer. With shaking hands, he extracted the document I'd labored over with Marjorie. I'd gotten everything I wanted, full custody of Max, half of Theo's retirement savings, and our house. Theo's face drained of color. This is crazy. You want me to just sign away my rights to Max? I stirred sweetener into my coffee. After your repeated disregard for his well-being, I believe I can provide a safer, more stable environment. This is absurd, Theo sputtered. I made some mistakes, but I'm still his father. I took a long sip. The court will decide who deserves custody. I tapped the envelope. I have substantial evidence, and we both know judges favor mothers. Theo stood abruptly, nearly upending the table. I won't relinquish my son without a fight. How could you betray me like this? Other customers turned curiously. I rose as well, meeting his frantic eyes. I'm trying to protect Max, though I shouldn't be surprised you feel betrayed over my lawyer's advice. I leaned forward, while completely trusting your sisters as she urged you to steal from your own wife. Theo paled. What are you talking about? Did you really think I wouldn't uncover your scheme to drain my savings account? I waved my phone. I have all the sorted messages right here. Theo backed away, the truth dawning at last. I pressed my advantage. You chose Callie over me and Max every time. Well, now we are choosing ourselves over you. I tucked the phone away. See you in court. I strode towards the exit on shaking legs as Theo called desperately after me. Let him finally understand a fraction of the heartbreak he'd inflicted. The icy rage I'd carried for months thawed into relief. Soon we'd be free. Just as I reached my car, Theo caught my arm, wild-eyed. Please, Alara, be reasonable. We can figure this out. I whirled to face him. I tried being reasonable for over a year, while you let Callie walk all over me. I yanked my arm away. I'm finally standing up for myself and my son. I climbed into the driver's seat as Theo gripped the door, begging. You can't just destroy our family like this. I revved the engine. You destroyed this family. I'm building it back up. As I peeled out of the parking lot, tears pricked my eyes. Despite everything, part of me wished we could rewind time back when Theo still treated me like a queen. I balled my fists against the sob rising in my throat. The man I'd loved no longer existed. For Max's sake, and mine, it was time to stop looking back. The day we entered the courtroom, I strode in with head high, Max's hand clutched firmly in mine. Theo slouched on the opposite side, haggard eyes pleading as I took my seat without a glance. Callie lounged next to him, skimming a gossip magazine. The flash of its pages fueled my rage. Let her enjoy the glamorous lives of the rich and famous while she still could. We'd wipe those smug grins off their faces soon enough. Marjorie squeezed my arm. You ready to nail these bastards once and for all? I smoothed my skirt, spine rigid. More than ready. Once the room quieted, the judge peered sternly over his glasses. We are here today to rule on the divorce settlement between Theo and Alara Holland, including custody arrangements for their son Max. As customary, we will first hear the settlement terms, followed by any rebuttals from Mr. Holland. Are we clear? Yes, Your Honor. Marjorie and Theo's lawyer chorused. Over the next half hour, Marjorie clinically recited my settlement demands, wielding details of Theo's emotional manipulation like a sword. With each new low she revealed, shocked gasps rippled through the room. Bile rose in my throat hearing Max's trauma laid so bare, but I remained stone-faced. Better for him to hear this now, so he would understand later why I'd fought so hard to protect him. As Marjorie concluded, Theo's red-faced lawyer hurriedly shuffled papers, beads of sweat on his brow. I almost felt sorry for the poor man, who likely just realized he'd chosen the losing side. When prompted, he spluttered weak rebuttals, contradicting himself in his haste. But the damage was done. In a few short minutes, Marjorie had demonstrated precisely why Theo deserved nothing more from our sham marriage. As we awaited the judge's final verdict, Theo locked desperate eyes with me. I turned away. Appealing to me now was useless. He'd burned that bridge to ashes. Finally, the judge cleared his throat, peering down at me kindly. In the best interest of young Max Holland, full custody will be granted to Alara Holland, along with the other proposed financial reparations. He banged his gavel as my shoulders sagged in relief. Case closed. Murmurs broke out behind me as Theo dropped his head in his hands. Callie exploded to her feet. This is outrageous. Alara's a psycho who just wants to bleed him dry. The judge fixed her with an icy stare. Given the despicable evidence against you, Miss Holland, you ought to be thanking your lucky stars that you aren't also facing criminal charges for conspiracy and extortion. Callie's mouth snapped shut as red crept up her neck. With a huff, she stormed toward the exit, pausing briefly to spit at me. Gold-digging bitch! Before the bailiff could react, she slammed through the courtroom doors. My palms stung where my nails had carved crescents, but triumph roared through me. We had won. Later at Claire's house, after tucking an exhausted but carefree Max into bed, I let it sink in. The battle was over. Theo would no longer control our fates or shatter Max's childhood. I could breathe easy again. Pouring myself a celebratory glass of wine, I realized I couldn't remember the last time I felt so light. Theo and Callie's shadows no longer loomed, strangling my spirit. We were finally free. 1 year later, I taped the last packing box in my second-floor suite, warm satisfaction pooling in my chest. My fledgling design business had skyrocketed in recent months, allowing us to trade up from Claire's guest room to this posh downtown apartment. The view of skyscrapers and glittering streets stretched to the horizon. We'd certainly come a long way from that tomb-like suburban house with Theo and Callie lurking in every shadow. I hadn't heard from them since I stormed out of court, high on sweet victory. From news through the grapevine, I knew Theo moved into some dingy bachelor pad while Callie couch-surfed. My sources said Theo resigned his position at the prestigious investment firm soon after our trial, likely choked by humiliation. Marjorie certainly delivered on her savage vow to ruin them. I almost felt sorry for Theo. Almost. I found Max on the patio, chin propped dreamily on his hands as he gazed at the bustling city below, his shaggy hair waving in the breeze. My breath hitched, realizing in just 1 short year we'd given him so much. Freedom, security, endless opportunities he never would have had under Theo's oppressive rule. Crouching next to him now with that carefree light in his eyes, I knew I did the right thing facing my tormentors head-on and clawing our way out. We were finally home. "Can you believe we get to see this view every day and night?" I murmured. Max looped his skinny arms around my neck. "I love our new house, Mommy." Joy welled in me at the unbridled bliss in his voice. "Me too, honey." As he scampered off to finish unpacking his toys, I slid open the balcony door to let in the warm summer air. The spacious living area still held a sleek, untouched quality after the move-in cleaners had swept through, sunlight glinting off the glossy new furnishings and modern art prints, so different from the stuffy style Theo imposed on me. I thrilled at the idea of imprinting my personality throughout this stunning blank canvas over time. In the stainless steel kitchen, my phone buzzed with a message from Theo I hadn't even realized still lurked in my contacts all this time. Heart rate spiking, I scanned the brief words, "I hope you are well and Max is happy. Please tell him I miss him every day. I'm still here if either of you need me." My eyes misted before I could help myself. Despite the pain and resentment, traces of mournful affection lingered under the scar tissue, the ghost of a hand I'd held a lifetime ago under clouds of love-induced blindness. With shaking fingers, I slowly typed a reply. "We are happier than ever and thriving. Thanks to you finally letting us go. Please move on with your life and let us enjoy the peace and freedom now. Take care of yourself, Theo." I hit send, then instantly blocked the number, ignoring the echoes of bittersweet nostalgia calling to me from the recesses of memory. That wounded girl begging for true love had died the moment Theo betrayed Max for Callie's gain. I had shed too much blood and sacrificed too many dreams to turn back now. As I settled onto the plush living room sofa with a contented sigh, the familiar squeal of Max's laughter carrying from his bedroom reignited fierce pride and crystalline certainty inside me. A love like that only comes once in a lifetime, unconditional and infinite. I let the sounds of our joy-soaked new beginning sweep away the last remnants of a broken past.